Check, 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 1, 2. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to another edition of Hot Topic Celeb TV. I'm your host, DTeflon on the MIC. Tonight is episode number 20. Joining us tonight inside the Hot Topic Celeb TV chair, you know him as the bad boy, Deacon Sharp on Bold and the Beautiful. You know him as the bad boy, Mike Barnes. I want to welcome all of you guys joining in right now for the Hot Topic Celeb TV in Conversation. Hollywood producers, directors, producers every single Sunday night. Don't forget, you can join us each and every Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and every Sunday right here on Hot Topic Celeb TV, Hot Topics Radio TV Podcast. I am your host, DTeflon on the MIC. Tonight, joining us all the way from the dojo, you know him as Mike Barnes in The Karate Kid 3. You know him as Deacon Sharp. You know him as AJ on General Hospital. This man is a legend in the acting game, y'all. He is an author. He is a writer. He is a producer. You can also check him also right now on Studio Cities and Amazon Prime. Each and every week we are here. Tonight, welcome my special guest, my brother from another, my individual bad boy for life, Mr. Sean, a.k.a. Diddy Kanan, in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Sean, to another edition of Hot
That was
Celeb
a
TV,
hell of an introduction. Thank you. What's up, everyone?
How you doing, man?
How are you? Greetings from California.
Welcome, welcome, guys. Welcome. Tonight, we want to welcome you guys for joining us, all who are tuning in from wherever you're in the world. If you have a question for Sean or myself, you can drop it in the comments below. We will answer it before the end of this podcast. And let us know where you guys are from. And also, if you missed this podcast, don't forget, you can check it out live on the replay this Saturday, 8 p.m. on Hot Topic Celeb TV. All you got to do is go to the bio in this page, click the subscribe button on the channel, and you can watch the full episode and past episodes for free. Tonight we have Sean Kanan. Don't forget, next week, joining us from the Power series, his name is Shane Johnson, but you guys know him as Cooper Sachs. Also, the following week, Rick Hertz will be in the building. We have a lot of special guests coming up this week, so don't forget, join us each and every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and each and every Tuesday night, Hot Topics Radio TV After Dark at 11 p.m. at night. Welcome, Sean.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Good, man. How have you been? So how have you been, man? How have you been holding up throughout this?
I've been good. I've been really busy. You know, I just got back from Puerto Rico. I was doing a film there for a couple weeks, and I've been working really diligently on my book, Way the Cobra, which is now at the printers, and we'll be starting to ship those out in about 2 weeks. I'm really excited about it. And we knocked off 5 new episodes of Studio City a couple months ago during the pandemic, which is, you know, no easy feat. Production during the pandemic.
So we're going to get into all that tonight. So what I want to start off first, for the people who are just tuning in, who are just new to your work, I want to know for yourself, how did you get started? I mean, I've known you a long time, but how did you get started? For those that don't know you, how did you get started in this crazy world of the acting game?
When I was in high school, I had a friend who wanted to be a model, and there was an open call at this modeling agency in Pittsburgh, and so we both went, and I wound up getting a contract with them. And at a certain point, I wound up doing a television commercial, which got me my SAG card when I was 15. So I've actually been in SAG almost 40 years.
Wow.
And so when I came out to Los Angeles to really pursue acting, you know, in earnest, I had a big advantage since I already had my SAG card.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's easier to get your SAG card now because you can get it from doing background work, but you couldn't really do that when I started out. So, you know, just knocked on a lot of doors, slowly but surely. I got some small TV parts, and then, you know, went to the open call for Karate Kid 3 and got that. And, you know, that pretty much changed everything.
So for you, in the sense, was that your first, like, did you always have the passion to become an actor, or was that something you sort of just fell into your lap and you're just like, okay, let me see where this goes?
So when I was about 15 years old, growing up in a small town in Western Pennsylvania, I knew I wanted to do something to express myself. And I settled on acting. not settled. I mean, that's what I decided I wanted to do. But, as I've gotten older, I realized that I got into acting because I love inspiring people. And acting is one way that I can do that, but I'm also really fortunate that now I have the opportunity to do that, with my writing, with my producing, with my motivational speaking and coaching. So, things have kind of really opened up for me that way. But for about as long as I can remember, I wanted to be an actor.
So for you, like coming from Pennsylvania and making that journey in the sense, number one, to Hollywood, what would you say for yourself was when you started, what were the biggest hurdles you had to face?
I didn't really know anybody in the business at all. That was hard. I hadn't studied acting, and so I needed to get into a serious acting class and start, refining, my acting technique. I think a lot of times actors early in their career will get big auditions before they're ready for it, before their professionalism and their level is where it needs to be. And that kind of happened to me in the beginning a little bit, but I worked really hard, and little by little, I started making progress, did theater, studied in class, and
You froze for a second. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. He's frozen a little bit here.
are
Hold on.
whole lot of-
While that back, you got frozen for about a second there.
Oh, okay. I said, This is definitely not a get-rich-quick business. You got to do this because you really love acting. If this is something that anyone's contemplating doing because they want to be quote unquote famous or make a lot of money, there's a lot of easier ways to do it.
Definitely. So for you, like you started off, obviously, before we get into the whole Karate Kid thing, you were synonymous in a famous character by the name of Deacon Sharp on The Bold and the Beautiful, also AJ Quartermain on the General Hospital. How did your journey into daytime start?
So yeah, I kind of did things backwards. I did Karate Kid 3, and after that I did a film for Oliver Stone, a television film called Wild Palms, and then I did a TV series called The Outsiders, which was based on the books by S.E. Hinton. Of course, people are familiar with the film The Outsiders. And then I decided I wanted to go do some theater because I really wanted to, theater is like one of the best ways that an actor can improve their technique. You're doing it, a live performance for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, a lot of rehearsal, and it's just phenomenal training. So a friend of mine, Steve Burton, who a lot of people know from General Hospital, was on General Hospital, and they were looking for someone to play his brother. They were replacing the actor that was previously playing AJ Quartermain. And Steve and I had an uncanny resemblance to each other. I mean, we really looked like brothers. And so Steve suggested me for the role, and I had a screen test, and I was actually the only guy screen testing for the role. So I knew if I didn't get it, it was because I stunk. So luckily I got it, and that wound up being one of the one of the more seminal jobs in my acting career.
And then you transferred over to Bold and the Beautiful. What was it like playing that iconic character who seemed to be hated by everybody and always, I mean, in the mix of playing the synonymous bad boy villain?
I love playing that role. It was great for a lot of reasons. The first was that I've been the only actor ever to be Deacon Sharp, which is great. I had the opportunity to cross over onto Y&R. It's a fairly small group of actors that have been fortunate enough to play the same role on 2 shows. I liked the fact that it was a half-an-hour format. I liked that. And, Bold and the Beautiful was in the Guinness World Book of Records as being the most syndicated show in television history, bigger than Baywatch. And so it was really kind of crazy because after doing the show for a while, I'd be in an airport or I'd be somewhere where there's a wide cross-section of people from all over the world, and people from foreign countries would come up and recognize me. And it was trippy. I mean, it was really flattering. So when I realized how big a success Bold and the Beautiful was and continues to be in Italy, I decided to start studying Italian because I figured if I could speak Italian, I could have kind of a second career in Italy. And I'm really fortunate that I've worked over in Italy quite a bit. I was on the Italian version of Dancing with the Stars, and I've done a film over there, and a fair amount of TV. So coming full circle, Bold and the Beautiful has really afforded me some wonderful opportunities in my life.
So what would, like, for you, like, what would you say, like, coming from a theater background, then jumping into, motion picture film, and then also jumping into daytime? I mean, you've played three spectrums, which are to me are the fundamentals of, as you say, really perfecting your craft. What would you say was the differences between the three, and which one would you say was the harder medium?
Theater affords you the most time for rehearsal and is the most liberating in the sense that once the curtain goes up, no one's yelling cut, and you're telling a story chronologically. So I think most people know this by now, but if you don't, when you shoot a television show or a film, you're almost never shooting it chronologically. I mean, they're, all different scenes are being done based upon the location. So television moves very quickly. That's something that I like about television, but it's also frustrating from a performance angle because you have very little time to rehearse. You have more time generally to do a little rehearsal in film. I like the fact that film is forever. You make a film and it's there forever. Television is kind of a little more disposable, although now with television being on so many different platforms and it stays up there, it's become less disposable. I think also, as far as the hardest, I'm going to say stand-up comedy, though. Stand-up is really challenging. It requires a very different skill set than acting does, but aspects of being able to act come into play in stand-up comedy, and I guess vice versa. There's things that I've done, I guess skills that I've learned doing stand-up that I've been able to bring to my acting, and so ultimately, I guess it all just kind of interweaves.
Yeah, I mean, for you, I mean, I was going to bring up next. Like, I mean, jumping into stand-up, which is to me is something obviously, it's a very hard realm. When was that moment where you realized, hey, you know what, like, A, I'm funny, and B, this was something that you wanted to take a chance on? Because I mean, you remind me, obviously, like, I think it's why we've been friends for so long, is that we seem to love taking challenges at anything, like whether it's whether someone says, hey, you shouldn't do this. And even for you being, like, as I said, a daytime actor in the beginning, a lot of people, as you know, in our business, who have started in that daytime game, who have tried to cross over into, film or television, some successful, others not so successful.
Right.
What, for you, in the sense of jumping into the comedy aspect of stand-up, what made you want to make that jump to try that out?
Well, I sort of fell in love with stand-up comedy when I was 15 and snuck into a comedy club for the first time, and I was mesmerized watching these guys and girls able to keep an audience spellbound just with their words. I mean, there's no script. It's you and a microphone, sink or swim, go time. And I like that aspect of it. So I actually started playing around doing stand-up when I was really young, 15, 16 years old. I went down to Atlantic City, was doing it on the boardwalk there. And, as years went by, I began doing it in clubs. And actually right before COVID hit, I was headlining at in the Belly Room at the Comedy Store on Sunset. And then I was set to go headline at the Atlantic City Comedy Club, and everything sort of shut down. So I'm going to be doing a lot of comedy appearances as soon as the world kind of opens up, because I love it. I think as an artist, as an actor, whatever you're doing in the arts and also in life, I think you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. You have to continue trying to grow, and part of growing sometimes is experiencing failure. And the reason I say failure is because, failure is only failure if you don't learn from it, you don't pick yourself up and keep going, and if you attach a negative story to it. And I know we're going to get into my book, but I do a whole thing about being very careful about the stories that you attach to things, because they affect our lives. And so it's important to try and attach a positive story to everything. Like if I, as an actor, pretty much 95% of the time when I audition for a job, I don't get it. And if I looked at every single time that I auditioned and didn't get it as a failure, I wouldn't be able to walk in another room and audition. So for me, I have to say things like, okay, maybe I got to audition for a group of people that have never seen me before. Maybe I got to prepare for an audition that was outside of my traditional wheelhouse of things I auditioned for. Maybe I got to, have a casting director who didn't know me, see me, and now I'm on the radar. I always try and put something positive with it. Otherwise, it's like you're building a wall of negativity, and it becomes insurmountable.
Well, I always say that too, even to, students that I have, where I'm like, look, like when you get in a room, whether it be for an audition or a casting call, yeah, you may not be, per se, the guy that they're looking for. But I always believe that if you're able to leave some bit of an impact, that it leaves it in the back of their mind, like, wait a minute, this guy might be right for this, but I have something down the road that I think he'd be perfect for. And I think of being able, as you, to be able to bring multi-layers of dimension as an actor and a performer, from the comedy routine to the drama to the bad boy to the action aspect. I think that keeps you, in the sense of this business, longevity. And I always say, like, that is the key to everything, because you find a lot of actors, even daytime actors, as I said, who try to jump over into the medium of film and television. They're still coming in with the same mindset as a daytime actor into like motion picture film. And it's sort of
the more I work in feature films, the more I realize that one of the biggest assets that I have is my ability to kind of write dialogue on the fly and improv. I'll give you an example. Like this film I just did, the Bruce Willis film. In the script, I really had, like, I was in a lot of the film. You saw me, but my lines were like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, boss, and I'll move the car. But knowing the director, and he and I've worked together 5 or 6 times at this point, I knew once I got there, we were going to dramatically expand the role. But in order to do that, I needed to be prepared when he said, okay, give me something right here, or give me something right here. I needed to have things in my head that were improvs, but I prepared them. You know what I mean? And so, sure enough, I was able to use probably 4 or 5 groups of lines that I improved, which dramatically increased my role in the film. And you're not really able to do that in television. Actors don't really have the opportunity to do that. So it's a skill set that I would encourage actors to really try and accomplish. And one way that I realized how important it was, if you watch like the outtakes of a film with like Will Ferrell, like say something like Talladega Nights, the outtakes, you see multiple takes where Will Ferrell and John Riley are just ad-libbing different responses to what would be the same setup.
Okay.
And some of them work and some of them don't, but they've got like 30 of them in their head. And not everything works, but if you've got the ability to ad-lib and the ability to kind of do some writing on your own, should the opportunity arise, it can significantly enhance your part.
So, like, for you, like, having played, as I said, so many multiple hats, from actor to producer now with Studio City, to working in daytime, to working in motion picture film, and having this long, super long career, and hasn't come without obviously setbacks that we've all have gone through in this business.
Sure.
What is the thing for you that where some people, number one, who have those setbacks don't know how to get themselves back in the game. What's kept you motivated for the last 2 decades?
And again, I mean, look, obviously I have a book coming out and I'm plugging it, so forgive me if it sounds like I keep circling back to it. But my book, Way of the Cobra, has the strategies and philosophies that I've used to do that. And one of the most important things is you must have clarity in what your why is. What is that thing that gets you out of bed? What is that thing when you've had your ass kicked that is going to pick you up off the floor and put you back in the fight? And so for me, it's easy. All I got to do is I look down at my wedding ring, and it reminds me of my commitment to my wife. I never want to see that look in her face where she's got buyer's remorse, where she looks at me like I'm not living up to my potential. That's the first thing. My second why is I truly love inspiring people. I know that the information in my book has the ability to change people's lives. And one of the taglines of the book is unleash your inner badass. Everybody has one. It may be undiscovered, it may have been lost, but everybody has a winner inside of them. And I talk about in the book that the clearest evidence that the universe wants you to win is that it's encoded in our DNA. I mean, for 200,000 years, human beings were not the apex predators. We were running around trying not to get eaten by saber-toothed tigers. We're still here as the dominant species, and they're a footnote, in some anthropology book. So, the universe wants us to survive, and you have to accept that, because so many people get wrapped up in victimhood. They're like, oh, the universe is against me, everything's against me. And look, there are people who have experienced things in their lives that would qualify them as having been victimized. But I don't think anyone is a victim. I believe that's a choice. And, unfortunately, we live in a society now where there are a lot of advantages to associate with being a victim. You get empathy from other people, you get a commonality with other people, and I really think that as a society, there's a couple things that we need to do. One of is start being more civil to each other and start treating each other with more empathy. And look, if you disagree with someone, you don't have to vilify them and eviscerate them as a human being. You can disagree with their point of view.
Well, I think that's the thing with social media. I mean, I think the problem with society now, from when we grew up to what we deal with now, is that everyone's got an opinion. Now they just have a fucking phone that they can vocalize their opinions to thousands and thousands of people, even when you didn't ask for their opinion. And
Andy Warhol said it. He said everybody is going to have their 15 minutes of fame, and the internet, social media, has provided that. But what it has alleviated, unfortunately, is having any responsibility and accountability for the things you say. And that's why you get a lot of people that are, these keyboard terrorists, and they feel that they've got the right to say whatever they want, and it's just really unhealthy.
What's the thing? I mean, I think that's where, as well, like both of us who are, obviously both active in the sense in regards to, shutting down the bullying and the anti-bullying on social media. I mean, I know both of us being involved in separate projects, and you working with the ADL, and I've done some stuff with them, and starting in my own foundation with the SPT project. Where did did that come from personal experience, in the sense of where you went through bullying yourself that made you say, okay, I need to be a voice for this?
Absolutely. I serve as one of the international ambassadors for Buddha bullying. And as a young kid, I was bullied pretty severely. And it's funny, I grew up and I played this iconic bully, Mike Barnes. And one of the things that I never imagined that would be a wonderful byproduct of having had that opportunity was that I go into schools, elementary schools, high schools, and before I start speaking, I play the iconic scene of Mike Barnes just terrorizing Daniel LaRusso at the All Valley tournament. And I say, would you believe that scary guy used to get bullied? And kids, it kind of, it shocks them for a moment and allows me sort of a moment to make a connection with them. Because, when you're coming in as an adult and you have that age differential, it's kind of hard to connect with them. You know, you have to kind of do something to connect with them. And that's been one of the greatest gifts of this movie. You know, teen suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among adolescents. Bullying is a massive contributor to it. And, you know, when you and I were kids, look, if you got bullied in the playground, before school, after school, it sucked, but it happened. Now, with the internet and with cyberbullying, you know, with one stroke of the keyboard, kids are getting bullied 24/7 to 1,000 people at a time or more. And, you know, it's really horrific.
But I think the bigger problem is not even just kids anymore. I think, honestly, the bigger problem when it comes to cyberbullying is the adults. Because
Absolutely.
when you look at what is going on in society, you know, I know obviously back in my day, I mean, it was like I got bullied. Okay, 3 o'clock, we're going to the corner and we're going to duke it out, and that was the end of it. But now I think when you see the adults, you know, on Twitter, which to me has become such a disgusting place over the last few years, where it's beyond vilifying now. It's beyond in the sense of even bullying. It's almost to the point where it's like it's giving people a freedom to not only destroy someone's not even someone destroy someone's mental health, but when you look at like people that are in our business, your whole career with one tweet can be removed.
It's in society now. You know, it's funny. People ask me a lot, especially sort of younger kids. They say, what can I do to be successful? And so I'm gonna tell you something. If you can do 4 things, I can almost guarantee that you're gonna be successful, even if you're not the most talented guy in the room. I said, the first is so simple. We all know it. It's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you can behave with integrity, if you can say what you mean what you say, and be dependable, that's number 2. Number 3 is if you can exhibit empathy and common civility to other people and conduct yourself like, you know, a gentleman or a lady. I don't even know if that's politically correct to say anymore. And the last thing is, if you grind, if you have a good work ethic and you keep working hard, if you do those 4 things, even if you're somebody that really has very mediocre talent, I guarantee that you've got about a 95% chance of being successful in life.
But what is success to you?
That is an excellent question. And again, in my book, I talk about this. You need to figure out what your success is. Not my success, not DTef's success, your success. Look, let me tell you what success is not. Success is not the bloated and obnoxious Instagram feed of celebrities parading their nauseating toys in front of you. Okay, that's the first thing. Trust me, I work in Hollywood. Very few of those Instagram feeds are based in reality. And you know, my uncle had this great saying. He used to always say this: things aren't always what they seem. Skim milk masquerades as cream. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, you know, it's not the airbrushed supermodels on the covers of magazines, and it's not the commercials that Madison Avenue feeds us, you know, day after day, telling us what success is supposed to look like. If money and monetary possessions were the only determinant of success, a spectacular amount of the population would be deemed unsuccessful. I'll tell you a quick story. So imagine a guy that is an immigrant. He's worked as a janitor all of his life. Not the first guy that we would naturally assume with being super successful, right? But what if that same guy saved all of his money? He put his only daughter through medical school, and she grew up to be the first person in her family to go to college, became a brilliant research scientist, and went on to save tens of thousands of lives. I would say that guy was extremely successful. So you have to determine what your success is. We may have some common denominators, being able to provide for your family, you know, having a job you like, friends that you love, blah, blah, blah. But there's also some things that may be completely specific just to you. So you got to figure out what your success is. Because if you don't know what it is, it's like getting in a car and not knowing the destination.
So, like for you, like when you, as I said, both of us have gone through. I mean, I've always said, you have that Teflon blood running
Right?
through your veins because both of us who have gone through setbacks, knockdowns, adversity, and literally, I would say having the shit kicked out of us emotionally. What drives you when you obviously have people who have maybe written you off in
Mhm.
whether it be career, professionally, personally. What advice
Right.
would you give for someone who is going through those type of setbacks to get back into that fight, to keep going?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from, like I said, it comes from having a really strong why. It's that reason that's going to propel you when you've had your butt kicked.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason that is going to, silence the naysayers and all the people that tell you can't do it, you're not good enough, that person will never go out with you, you don't deserve to be successful. You need to have a really strong inner voice that tells you and reaffirms to you what it is that you want to do. I think the other thing too is that look, everybody experiences defeat and failure, and I put it in quotes again because it's really important that when you don't get the desired result for something that you want to do, that you don't frame it as a failure, that you frame
Mm-hmm.
it as a teacher, and that you put a positive association with it, create a positive story with it that is going to propel you. Look, most things that we tell ourselves in life, like what we think is the truth, is
Mm-hmm.
seen through a prism of our experiences, the society we live in, the people we know. If you went back and actually watched the movie of what really happened in any specific set of circumstances, and then you put it next to what your perception of it is, there'd be some disparities, right? So
Mm-hmm.
since we as humans are really adept at creating stories about things that
Mm-hmm.
happen, why not create positive ones? Why create one that is like an anvil that you're wearing around your neck that is dragging you down and precluding you from succeeding? Why not come up with a positive story that's going to propel and motivate you?
Definitely, definitely. So, like for you, getting this obviously now legendary role of Mike Barnes, how did that story start for you? And what was the audition process like? How did you find out about the role? And yeah, how did you find out about the role? And how did you get started in it?
Oh, before I do that, let me give a quick shout
Okay.
out to my friend Grandmaster Daryl Vidal, who was in The Karate Kid, and he also wrote the foreword to Way of the Cobra. So I think Daryl is listening. So I love you,
Don't
buddy.
forget, guys, if you're just hopping in on now, welcome to another edition of Hot Topic Celeb TV. Hollywood actors, producers, directors in conversation, episode 20. I'm your host, DTeflon on the MIC, with the man, the legend himself, Sean Kanan, in the building. If you missed this podcast and you want to check out the full replay, don't forget you can tune in this Saturday on the YouTube. Just search Hot Topic Celeb TV, and you will be able to find the episode airing live at 8 p.m. Don't forget, join us each and every Tuesday night for Hot Topics Radio TV After Dark at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, next Sunday, joining us from the Power Series, the award-winning Power Series, Cooper Sachs, a.k.a. Shane Johnson, will be in the building. The following week after that, we have special guest Rick Hurst from General Hospital. Don't forget, you can find this podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and iHeartRadio. Continue, man.
Okay, so look, forgive me because I've told this story many times, and if you've sat through it before, I apologize in advance. So I'm going to expedite it. Long story short, I've been studying karate in Pennsylvania, and my karate school merged with the school from Sensei Fumio Demura, who is Pat Morita's stunt double. And
Okay.
he knew I was in Hollywood, I was pursuing acting, and he said to me, they're going to be doing an open call for the new bad guy for the Karate Kid 3. And the character, Mike Tyson, was described as a 17-year-old white Mike Tyson. Now, I have never thought of myself as a 17-year-old white Mike Tyson. I was home from college. I was going to UCLA, and I was back in my little town of Pennsylvania, and I was sitting on the stoop outside this sort of gas station mini mart that from the time I was a kid, we used to hang out at. And I looked at my two friends and I said, I'm going to go get that part. And they didn't laugh at me. It was very interesting. And look, that was pretty cocky for some young kid from Western Pennsylvania to think that I'm suddenly going to get this role in the third installment of an internationally famous franchise. I went to the open call. There were about 1,500 people there. I knew that John Avildsen had won the Academy Award for Rocky and had directed the first 2 Karate Kid films. He was making his way up the line of hopefuls, and I knew I had a very, very short amount of time to get John's attention. I managed to get his attention. He stopped in front of me and he said, okay, let's do an improv. And he said, all right, intimidate me. And so I did. And he brought me inside the studio, and there was Ralph Macchio. They had created a set. There was Entertainment Tonight, and there was Access Hollywood. It was a 3-ring circus because, frankly, it was a publicity stunt. The chances of finding one of your lead actors in a successful film franchise in an open call is it's pretty darn small. So I think they probably figured, okay, we'll get some publicity for the film. It'll be a shot in the arm. It's the 3rd installment. I auditioned, thought I did really well, and they went and hired somebody else. And as luck would have it, after about a week, it wasn't working out for one reason or another, and they remembered me and called me back, and I got the role. And it's happened a lot of times in my career that I haven't been the first choice, and I equate it to being a second string quarterback. You stay in shape and you keep your head on straight. Sooner or later, the coach is going to put you in the game, and then it's what you can do with it.
Well, I've known you a long time, and I still haven't forgiven you for breaking that bonsai tree, man, because that scene fucking, I think for me, even watching that scene, I mean, legitimately, it's very rare that, tears run down my eyes, and there's certain iconic films, but knowing myself who have gone through similar types of bullying when I was younger and even older, and even in this business, is that, to be able to see someone, do damage. And I don't think I think, you can take the name calling, you can take, even getting beat up when you're the victim of being bullied, but it's the certain things that,
The psychological.
Yeah. And it seemed like, to me, Mike was more of a bad boy, not in the sense of what he could do physically, but it was more like a sociopath, like a psychological breakdown where, to me, he was more methodic than even in the sense, number one, of like, what the fuck was the sensei's name again?
Johnny Morris?
No, your sensei.
Sensei Kreese or Terry Silver.
Terry Silver, and like, did you, when you were playing first, before we got that role, did you have extensive training in martial arts before you got that role? And second, were you in those scenes? I mean, did you ever have a moment where you're like, this is sort of going too far for even me?
To answer your first question, experience in martial arts, I think, is comparative. I had studied Shotokan and Genbukai karate for probably like 3 years off and on, and sort of dabbled in other styles. So I had a pretty strong background in the basics of Japanese karate, which is basically what Daniel was being taught, Okinawan. So when it came time to learn the choreography, there were certain things I could and couldn't do, and they took what I could do and built on that. But I don't know that they could have taken somebody that had never studied martial arts in a relatively short amount of time, made them look like they were a black belt. I think it would have been an added difficulty that if I was producing and could have avoided it, I would have tried to avoid it. The second part of your question, did I ever feel that I was going too far? No, because that's what they wanted. I mean, look, Mike Barnes is a very one-dimensional character for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Now me as an actor I've done 20 films, I've done 1,000 episodes of daytime television, literally. I look back and think of all the things I would have liked to have done differently to give the character more layers, but that's not what they wanted. They wanted a guy that was this kind of, unidimensional, maybe two-dimensional, because we saw a different side of him when he came in and was, trying to, hustle Terry Silver into getting part of the dojo. He wasn't a maniac then. But I really gave them what they wanted. And what's funny is because I was an unproven commodity, so to speak. When we did the final tournament scene and I was ad-libbing all of that craziness, they didn't know if I was going to be able to pull that off. And the reason I know that they didn't know was because after I finished, they exploded into, "Oh my God, you did it," which let me know that they weren't sure I was going to be able to do it. And if that part of the film didn't work, that critical moment where Daniel was so scared that he had a crisis of conscience, telling Mr. Miyagi he's afraid, and it sets Miyagi up for that wonderful line, "Must not lose to fear," the film doesn't work, right? Everyone else worked, everyone else, they knew what they were going to do. I mean, I guess Thomas Ian Griffith was also, somewhat of an unproven commodity too, but the weight was on me at that point. That was my time to carry the bricks. And, I just kind of went for it. So, I think it worked.
Did you ever sustain any injuries or cause any injuries physically on that set?
I did, yeah. I had a life-threatening injury. We'd been filming for 2 weeks, and we broke for Christmas, and I was having some severe pain in my left thigh. I was taking handfuls of aspirin, and it turned out that I had perforated my greater omentum, which wraps around your intestine. I was bleeding internally. The aspirin was exacerbating the bleeding, and on Christmas Day, 1989, while everybody was home getting ready to have Christmas with their family, I was bleeding to death in the emergency room at Humana Sunrise Hospital in Las Vegas. And they said, "Look, you're young and you're strong, but we don't know if we can save your life." And it was the scariest moment that's ever happened to me to this day in my life. And they said, "Okay, we got to take you for surgery." And I said, "Okay, wait, like Monday?" And they go, "No, like in 15 minutes. And I still get choked up when I talk about it. It's so weird after 30 some years. My parents got the call at midnight. Your son's in Vegas and he's in emergency surgery. They could only get one ticket because it was midnight. And so they decided my dad would fly out, and I woke up and had a 15-inch scar with staples, or wound rather. And there's my dad, he looks gray. And get a call from the studio, and they basically say, be back on set in like 10 days or you lose the role. And I was not going to let that happen. And, the first day I was able to get out of bed and walk to my bathroom in my room. And next day I was able to walk around the entire hallway of the hospital floor. A couple days later, I could walk around multiple times, and then I had them discharge me against medical advice. And they decided that they were going to keep me in the film. They had just enough of me to keep me in the film, but they were going to have a stuntman do all of my martial arts, which was really crushing for me because I'd been working really hard. I mean, I knew what I was doing. And I started working with a guy from the LA Rams when the Rams were in LA in '89. And same deal. The first day I could do a couple sit-ups, and then I was doing 50, and then I was doing 500. And I wound up doing every one of my martial arts stunts in that film. And that film changed my career, but that's not the first reason that film was so special to me. Because at a very, very young age, when most of us think we're immortal, I was faced with mortality, and I was faced with a challenge. When I was getting wheeled into surgery, I could feel myself slipping away, and it would have been very easy just to go to sleep, not wake up. And at least in that moment, I'm not saying I've done it every time successfully, but in that moment, I summoned up my why, and my why was to stay in that movie and to survive, and it worked.
Well, what I say you found, like what I always, with my book, is that you found your inner Teflon. because it's like because seriously, because like for me, like, both of us have came back from life-threatening, me with my brain surgery, you with that. And it's the one thing I try to explain to people that are, coming into this business is that just as you said, like when they called you and said, you have 10 days to get back here and do your part. And I've always tried to explain to people who are getting into this industry, this business does not give a fuck. It don't care whether you
it's
have
called show business, not show friends.
Exactly.
I mean, look, that doesn't mean that you can't make friends in the business. And
Of
it
course.
doesn't mean that there are wonderful people in the business, but you are a product.
Exactly.
You are a cog in the machine. And if you slow down the machine will roll over you.
What I say, you're like a spoke on a bike. Like that's what we are. We're spokes on a bike in the sense the machine keeps moving no matter what. You can break one spoke, but the wheel's still going to keep turning. And that's why I try to explain to people is that like this business, it's not even about, I mean, yes, you can have the talent, you can have the skills, but it's the mental discipline that when you're tired, when you're, going through relationship problems, when you're going through personal problems, as I said, the business does not care. So you have to be able to find that inner Teflon in yourself to sort of, protect yourself from the layers of doubt, pain, to keep going, and I think that for you is exactly what you said. Like it was a telling story of like, yes, it gave you this iconic opportunity and this iconic role. But I think in that moment, to the person that I have known and loved for so long that we've known each other, it showed in the sense of number one of like where to people who don't know you and don't know the ups and downs that you've gone through, I can see where that's where the real bad boy was born. Like it was in that moment to say, you know what, like, look, life is going to throw me a bunch of fucking curves, but it's up to me to basically get up, take the fucking punches.
It's like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Punched in the mouth. And that's the truth.
Life has a way of punching you in the mouth. And if it hasn't yet, trust me, it's coming. You're right. But also, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. I mean, a lot of people look back and go, "Oh my God, what a terrible experience." And yeah, in the moment, it was initially terrible, but it has come to be one of the most important experiences and lessons in my life. And I go back to the book. I tell the story that I just told all of you, but I attach it to a lesson in the book. And if you'll indulge me for a minute, I'll tell you the lesson. There was a farmer years ago in China, very wise man, and he lived with his one son, and he lived on a farm, and he had one horse. And one day, his horse escaped out of the corral, and his neighbor said, "What bad luck?" And the farmer said, "We shall see." The very next day, the horse comes back at the head of 6 wild mustangs right into the corral. And his neighbor says, "What good luck. Now you can plow your fields in 1/7 of the time." The farmer says, "We shall see." The very next day, his son goes out to break one of the wild mustangs. He's thrown to the ground and breaks his leg, which was a life-threatening injury in those times. And his neighbor says, "What bad luck." And the farmer says, "We shall see." The very next day, the local warlord comes at the head of 100 soldiers to conscript all the young men to go fight in some distant province. But the farmer's son can't go due to his broken leg. The farmer says, "What good luck." The neighbor says, "What good luck." The farmer says, "We shall see." And on it goes ad infinitum. And the reason I relate this story is that very rarely in the moment, especially when things appear to be bad, do we see the 30,000-foot view of how it might wind up being very good for us. When I got divorced, years ago, and it was crushing. I saw it as a failure. It was painful. It was, for anyone who's been divorced, it's not a good thing.
No.
And had that not happened, it wouldn't have opened me up to meet my wife, Michelle, who's my soulmate. She's the love of my life and has changed my life in innumerable positive ways. So what in the moment seemed like it was catastrophic, it was really the universe kind of taking care of me. Which again, is why I don't attach negative stories to things.
No, and I think we all reach a certain point because I mean I was there obviously in that beautiful inception of when you and Michelle got together and watching you change and grow, you know, to me in such a positive way. You know, I think it comes a point in everybody's life where, you know, you have to have those people around you where you have to, and this is where I go back to, you know, the year 2020. You know, it's been it was a crazy, fucked up, messed up, you know, just a year that we have no sense of. But I say to people this is that 2020 needed to happen. It needed to happen for one reason. What is the definition of 2020? I wear glasses to see.
A
It
dumpster
means
fire starring in a shit show?
no, it means clear vision.
No,
That's the definition of 2020. So it's like when you look at 2020 in the sense of where I'm at, who I have around me, what goals am I on, what things have I done, what things have I not done. And I think for you, like always being to me, you know, forget the bad boy moniker. I've always said, you know, you should have had a title attached to you as the comeback kid because it was always like, you know, no matter what was thrown at you, and even to me, even when you were knocked down, you always got back up with something different. That goes back to, for the ones that have never seen it, you know, and I'm sure you want to talk about this, when you decided to do a rap video of I'm a Soap Star.
Well, let me
So,
clarify that by saying that it was a comedic rap video. It was not a foray into becoming a rapper.
guys, if you haven't seen the video, you should
Oh
go to
boy.
YouTube right now and search up Sean Kanan, I'm Not a Soap Star. It's
No,
starring himself.
I'm a soap star.
I'm a Soap Star starring himself, my brother from another, Ron Moss, Joshua
Yeah.
Morrill. You guys should definitely go check it out if you haven't seen it already. So, like, when you decided to do that, what was, I mean, obviously a white Jewish kid from Pennsylvania doing a hip hop song with, you know, with
Do I need to remind
those,
you of the Beastie Boys? Come on.
true, but in the
There's a rich
sense of
history of white Jewish rappers.
100%. But
Third
like,
base.
did you ever have any reservations of what people's reaction would be to that?
No,
Of
I
like,
didn't care. I didn't care. You know, Michelle said to me, "Look, you've done theater, you've done film, you've done TV. What is something you would never think of doing?" And I was like, I don't know, a rap video. She goes, "Okay," and you know, she set this thing up and you know produced it, and you know, we just had a really good time doing it. It was silly. We wrote the song, you know, with a good friend of mine, Daryl Johnson, and you know, it was really fun. And it was the first thing, you know what's great about it? It was the first time I got to work with Ron Moss, where Ron kind of was doing something comedic. And if you haven't had a chance to see the new episodes of Studio City, Ron Moss is in it. And for those of you that are fans of Bold and the Beautiful and know him as Ridge Forrester, he ain't Ridge Forrester. He is so unbelievably funny in Studio City. Just he's terrific, and hopefully he's going to wind up getting nominated for an Emmy.
so tell me about Studio City. What, for those who haven't seen it, what's the show about? Where did the premise of the concept of the show come from? And also who's in it?
Okay. Studio City is a show that centers around my character, Sam Stevens, who plays Dr. Pierce Hartley on the #2 soap opera in the world, Hearts on Fire. Sam is an aging soap star. He is dealing with a lot of issues in life. You know, you look at him and at first you think, okay, this guy's got the world by the tail, but as the layers of the onion unpeel, you realize he is a very flawed guy. Just
Hold on, we lost your volume for a second, man. Lost your volume.
can you hear me now?
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a guy that always thought that he should have had a bigger career, should have been an action star. And Carolyn Hennessy, who plays the producer of the show, says, "Sammy, do I just have to say you're too damn old?" And his entire life is turned upside down when somebody that he never knew existed shows up in the pilot, throws his complete life into chaos. The show makes you laugh, it makes you cry. They say write what you know, and for better or for worse, I have worked in daytime television off and on for 3 decades, and so I know what daytime television is like, and I know what it's like to be a guy that has gone from being, the 25-year-old guy on a show to being the 50-year-old guy in a show, and so this is a show that I've wanted to get made for a very long time, and through some very positive relationships in the business, not the least of which is my wife Michelle and our showrunner and director Timothy Woodward Jr. And my co-creator Jason Antignoli. We got it made, and lo and behold, the first year we got nominated for 8 Emmys. It was so exciting and so unexpected, and it is one of the things that I'm most proud of. It's been wonderful, and we want to keep on keeping on with it.
So who stars in it on the thing?
So
Don't know.
There is Sarah Joy Brown, 3-time Emmy Award winner.
Which I love you, Sarah.
Yeah, we love Sarah. Yeah, Patrika Darbo, Tristan Rogers, who won the Emmy for Best Supporting Actor. Scott Turner Schofield. We've got a couple other terrific actors. We got Philip Bruin. We got Aaron Soto. God, I know I'm probably forgetting somebody. We've got some great guest stars this year. Like I said, Ron Moss, Justin Torkelson. Justin comes on, Natalie Byrne. And it's just, it's just really a fun show. It's a digital drama, so the episodes are between, I think, 12 and 17 minutes, so it's very digestible. And I think people are really coming to discover it and like it.
So you've had this, as I said, this never-ending story of success, and going back to another one of your books, Success Factor, which seems of constantly putting one thing after another on your resume.
Right.
For you, you've done, as I said, you've done daytime, you've done primetime, you've done motion picture film, you've done comedy stand-up, you've done music video. What's next for Sean Kanan? What is the thing that you see to yourself that you haven't accomplished yet that you want to accomplish in your career, or just a personal goal?
I would really like to do Broadway.
Okay.
I would really like to at some point perform on Broadway. I think that would be something very special. I don't know. I've had my ups and downs. Life is not a 50-yard dash. Generally, it's a marathon. Mm-hmm. And for one reason or another, like you said, I've managed to continue to kind of come back and do new things, sometimes after significant setbacks. And I don't know what's in store next, but I'm excited to find out.
Who inspired you? Was there someone that because everyone has their story of why they got into the business, but was there ever whether it be an actor or someone that inspired you to say, okay, you know what, I want to do this? Whether it's a show that you watched or a movie that you watched or a specific actor that inspired you throughout your career?
So when I was a kid, I used to take refuge going to the movies by myself. And, I didn't know it at the time, but Obi-Wan Kenobi and the outlaw Josie Wales and Bruce Lee were my earliest mentors. And they also connected me to cinema. So I had such a strong, visceral, emotional, psychological connection to film, because for me it was a refuge. It was a way of shutting out the outside world. It was a way of seeing a much bigger world beyond the horizon of the small town that I was in, and allowed me to really dream. So I think very, very early on, I was, completely enamored with film. And, you're seeing these bigger than life characters on a 30-foot screen, and I was captivated by it. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was going to do it.
So for you, if you were to compare right now the differences between Mike Barnes AJ, Deacon, and Sean Kanan. What are the difference between those characters and you as a person?
Well, the easiest difference to draw is between me and Mike Barnes. He was a psychopath, and I don't think I am. Actually, I've taken this psychopathy test, so I know I'm not. I think there were definitely aspects of my personality in Deacon and AJ, and every actor brings a part of who they are to the roles they play. And I'm at 54 years old, have done a lot of work on myself. You know what I mean? So I think I know that I'm probably a much more evolved cat than AJ and Deacon and certainly Mike Barnes are, but it's still a work in process, in progress. I'm still working out kinks in my life and in my personality, as I think we all do. And again, in Way of the Cobra, I talk about that. I say, look, the book is structured that you are in my dojo, the dojo of life, of Cobra life, and I'm the sensei, but the people reading the book are as much my teachers as I am theirs, and that we're sort of in it together. I said, before you think that I'm living in a hut on top of the mountains of Tibet, contemplating my navel, realize that a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you is because I've made every mistake in the book. And the idea is, to allow me to be a teacher and a shepherd to hopefully point out the pitfalls and point out the potential traps that most people face in their life.
Okay. So what for you, like with everything that you've done, what would you say for you is your greatest achievement to date?
I would say it's my marriage to Michelle. After my divorce, I was not convinced that I was able to be the kind of person that I needed to be worthy of having a relationship like that. And, I worked a lot on myself. A lot of it is, influence Michelle has had on me, and a lot of it is growth that we've done together. And looking back now, that's still Sean way back there, but that's Sean who's trekked a lot of miles to get here.
Well, it's the thing. I mean, like for people, for example, that like who are in this business, and as you know, like it is a hard business to work in and balance a relationship where you can find that equal match. One, someone that's not going to be insecure, especially if you're in the public eye. Second, in the sense of understanding that, you could be married, you can be in love, but that this is a business where the business is always sort of going to come first with your work, and having that person that sort of understands, okay, if I've got to take off for, however many weeks to go shoot a project,
Yeah, we just went through that. I mean, because of COVID, I couldn't bring Michelle with me, and that was the longest time that we've ever been separated. It was very difficult. I didn't like leaving her. She didn't like me leaving, but knew that I had to go do it. I mean, it was a tremendous opportunity. If it wasn't for COVID restrictions, I absolutely would have brought her with me. I'm fortunate enough in the sense that, I have some say-so over things I want to do and don't want to do. So I don't always have to put my career first. And when I decide to take a job or do something, it's a team discussion, because it affects her too. I mean, she's not just kind of like a passenger in life as I'm driving. I'm also a passenger in life as she's driving. And we want to make sure that we're both heading in the same direction.
I think that's key. I think that is definitely key, because it's, I think the problem with what you see is so many failed relationships, and not, you don't have to even be in this business, but so many failed relationships nowadays is because of the lack of communication between their partner and the person that they're with. And like, to you, like, like what advice would you give for someone who is in the business and trying to balance their professional career and a relationship and making it work? What's made it work for you?
I think communication is really important. I think mutual respect is really important.
You cut out. Your voice cut out again. There we go.
I'm giving you the heads up. I'm at 5%
okay.
now. So
you have a charger?
Yeah.
You have a charger? You can plug it in?
It's somewhere. I don't even know where it is. We've been going for like an hour, but it's been great.
Hey, we're in conversation here, man.
But I think that respect is critical. You have to make sure that your ships are sailing in the same direction. People love each other, but if you don't have common goals, and if you're not heading in the same direction, and you start living separate lives, it's a recipe for disaster. Michelle and I live a very unified life.
Okay.
And as such, she has things that she does that are her pursuits. I have things that I do that are my pursuits, but we always are supporting each other, and there's crossover. So
if you want to get your charger, bro, so we don't get cut out, because I want you to finish this. I'll hold it if you want to get your charger.
All right. Let me see if I can. Let me see here. The problem is.
Don't forget, guys, you can join us each and every Sunday night.
Right?
Yep, no problem. Each and every Sunday, guys, Hollywood actors, producers, directors in conversation. Tonight, joining us, myself, my brother from another, Sean Kanan. You can follow me, guys, if you're liking this podcast so far. You can go to my Instagram and follow at DTeflon. And you can also, if you missed this episode and you want to watch it in full, go back and hit the subscribe button in the bio on this page, which is Hot Topic Celeb TV. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Each and every week, we have some of the most influential faces in Hollywood joining us in conversation. Don't forget, you can check my website out at DTeflon.com. Check out Sean Kanan's new book, wayofthecobra.com. You guys can order that. Wayofthecobra.com. Make sure you guys check that out. Also, check out his other book, Modern Day Gentleman. You can also check out his other book as well, Success Factor. But don't forget, each and every Tuesday night, we are here on Hot Topics Radio TV after dark at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We were getting into the hot topic conversations and everything, entertainment, news, and politics. And as I said, every Sunday night, 6 p.m., make sure you tune in here, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can join us. Don't forget, as I said, Sean just popped off, so I have to let it back in. But I welcome you guys who are just tuning in right now. If you have a question for Sean, you can leave it in the comments below. I will try to answer it, and we will try to answer it towards the end of this podcast. I hope you guys have been enjoying this episode this week, episode 20. Let's put on some music while I wait for him to hop back in here and whatnot. So I think he got disconnected there, so hold on a second. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday so far tonight, and you guys are enjoying this podcast. Hold on a second. Okay, there he is. Hold on. There we go. Welcome him back into the room. Mr. Sean Kanan just cut off for a second. He had to get his charger, but I want to thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, tonight, you can join us each and every Sunday. Make sure you follow me at DTeflon. Follow Sean Kanan on his podcast here. Hold on a second. Let me connect Sean back in. Go live with Sean Kanan. There we go. Hold on a second. Hopefully he's connected back in here. Hold on. Did we get him back in here? Hold on. I think you're coming back, Sean. Hold on. Let me send you again a request. Go live. I'm trying to connect you, Sean. Hold on a second. Send me a request, bro, because I'm trying to send you one, and it's not connecting me back in here. Hold on a second. Send me your request, bro. You got knocked off again, so If you can see me, send me a request, and I will connect you back in here. Okay, hopefully this works. Okay, I'm connected here. There we go. Hold on a second. So now you got to fix your camera because I'm only getting your eyes now.
Okay, how do I do
Bring
that?
it down a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Perfect.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, he is back, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. I'll wait until you get positioned properly.
That's the best I can do right now.
Okay. You're good. Okay, yeah, you're good right there. Are you standing or are you sitting down?
Sitting.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so continue what you were saying before.
I have no idea what I was saying before.
we're we're talking about for you, like, how, of the journey that you have taken in regards to balancing the business and a relationship, and the advice you would give for somebody who is either starting in the business, how they would go about balancing it, and being able to balance their career and being in a relationship. And do you give advice for someone to either not be in a relationship when they're starting, or et cetera, et cetera?
I would never say that. I mean, listen, I would, far be it from me to ever tell anybody, not to, and look, everyone loves love, right? So I wouldn't say that. Look, for me, I can only speak for me. When I was younger, my career was the most important thing in my life. And as I've gotten older, I've learned the lesson that in order to truly be successful as an actor, you have to find the moments outside of acting that make you happy. Because otherwise, you're going to be happy for a very small part of your life. And for me, creating a life of happiness outside of my acting career has been critical to being a happy person and to being a successful actor.
Mm-hmm. So for you, like your book, Way of the Cobra. First, before I get you into that, is I always have this question. Working with a legend like Pat, what was it like in those fight scenes? Was that really him kicking your ass in those scenes, or did he have a stunt double?
No, that was one of my teachers, Fumio Demura. Sensei Demura, the one who told me about the open call, was Pat's stunt. Yeah.
So in those fight scenes, whether with Pat, either with Terry Silver or Kreese, was that actually him doing those scenes himself, or was it?
Well, they would bring him in for the close-ups.
Okay.
But I mean, the physicality of it, no, that was Sensei Demura.
Perfect. Okay. So your book, Way of the Cobra. Tell me about that and how this transpired for you. Was it because of, the rebirth of Cobra Kai series, being what it is right now? Like, where did the inspiration come from to write this book?
Well, okay. First of all, COBRA is an acronym based on the words character, optimization, balance, respect, and abundance. And somebody who's a Cobra is leading their best life, their most authentic self. The book is about unleashing your inner badass. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're, male, female, black, white, yellow, brown, gay, straight, trans, whatever. Everyone's got a badass inside of them. It just needs to be brought out. And, like we've discussed for this entire conversation, I've been fortunate enough to have some very unique experiences in my life. I have, faced some difficult challenges. The genesis of the book really was a couple years ago, before Success Factor X came out. I found myself in a position that I think a lot of people have found themselves in. I had some significant successes. I had some very well publicized failures, and I was looking in the mirror and I was saying, what's next? And I was 35 pounds overweight. I had no work on the horizon, and I decided that I was going to start doing some things differently. And rather than waiting for my ship to come in, I was going to build the damn ship. And I started doing some things very differently, and I started having positive results very, very quickly. And the book shares a lot of the strategies and philosophy that I have used to, when necessary, turn my life around, and other times, keep reaching upward.
So, like, what is your with this book? What is your main message and goal with it?
Well, my main goal is that everybody inside of themselves has a cobra. Everybody has, that unique being that is your authentic self, and everybody has a gift to give the world. You have to get in touch with it. But in order to do that, there's some things you have to learn, and the three most basic are that you have to determine, what your success is. You have to identify your why. And you got to specify your goals and come up with the actions to achieve those goals. So I think that specificity is really important. I think that there's a lot of internal and external adversaries that we all face. We have our inner critic. We have, making peace with our inner child, all sorts of stuff that if you can reconcile some of these things that everybody carries around with them, it frees you up to achieve your success. And I know that this works because it worked for me. For you.
So for you, like, and our last few questions here. First, I want to know for you, what would the present Sean Kanan tell the younger Sean Kanan when you first started off in this business? What advice would you give him?
Don't push. You're enough. Know that you're enough walking in the room. Don't try and demonstrate who you are so much. It's more a know it, don't show it. And then it comes from the inside. I think when you're young, and when I was young, when I was hungry, when I wanted it so bad, I had a tendency to push and to be overly demonstrative in everything, not just in acting, in life. And I think that's one of the great benefits as we get older is you get more comfortable in your own skin, and you don't feel the need to have to push so hard. And when you don't push against the universe so hard, the universe comes to you.
It's beautiful. So what I want to do, I want to play a game with you. I want to play a game of word association. You think of the first word that comes to your head. William Zabka.
Friend.
Pat Morita.
Pat Morita?
Yeah.
Arnold from Happy Days.
Ralph Macchio.
Wonderful Opportunity.
Steve Burton.
Brother.
Sarah Joy Brown.
Sarah. I adore Sarah. I adore her. That's what comes to my mind.
Ron Moss.
Good buddy.
Joshua Morrow.
I like Josh a lot. We know each other to see each other and say hi and chit chat. But he's got a family. I've got a family. You know what I mean?
Tristan Rogers.
The old alligator. I love Tristan. I loved that dinner with him the other night.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Favorite movie?
Apocalypse Now.
Let's see here. I want to give you a hard one. Something a secret that someone wouldn't know about you.
I think that I'm a lot more probably sensitive than people might immediately think about me. I get, I get. I don't want to say I get hurt easily. I I feel things probably a little more deeply than people might think I do.
I think there's always a layer that, you know, and that was going to segue to my next question of like the difference is I think when people they see someone on TV and they fall in love with that character, whether they hate them,
Right.
whether they love them.
Right.
What is the for you, you know, the differences? Not even say the differences, but like if somebody was to meet you for the very first time, what do you think would surprise them about you?
I think that generally people feel a connection to me because I try and be very authentic. You know, you may love me or hate me, but I'm going to be me and do my best to connect with you as who I really am. And I think that's really what any of us can hope to do, you know, is you show the world who you really are. That's a powerful thing. You know, there's an old Japanese saying that, you know, we all wear three masks. We wear the mask that we show the world. We wear, there's the mask that we show very few people, just our closest family and closest friends. And then there's who we really are. And if you work on yourself, you can unify those masks so that you're able to show the world who you really are with comfort and ease. You know, I mean, look, obviously, at different times, you know, we have different levels of, I guess, reservation in what we know. But if you're always showing it honestly, even if incrementally, I think that's the ultimate goal.
So for you, balancing being a husband, a father, an actor, do your children, in a sense, know, one, how badass their dad is, and two, have your kids, if you know, if they wanted to take a liking to follow in your footsteps, would you encourage that, or would you be against it?
You know, my stepdaughter Julie plays my daughter on Studio City, and she's a terrific actress. She's great. She did Studio City, and then she just did a movie with Billy Zane, and she's doing really well. And my other daughter Simone has a very successful modeling career now.
I honestly, I'm so glad to hear that, because I remember when I told you when I met her when she was little, itty bitty, I was like, yo, your daughter's beautiful. She's gonna, to me, grow up to be a big model. So it's great to hear that she's doing that.
Looked like somebody took her by her head and by her feet and stretched her out like Play-Doh. You know, she used to be short. Now she's tall and beautiful, and it seemed to happen overnight. You know, look, I would tell my kids the very same thing. I would say, look, it's not an easy profession. It is one that is full of, you know, it could be a psychological roller coaster, and it can play with your emotions unless you really learn how to deal with it. And even if you're pretty good at dealing with it, it's still tough. So make sure you really want to do it. Because like I said, there's a lot of other ways to express yourself to the world, be successful. You know, you better really want to do this.
So for you, what advice would you give for someone that decides they want to step into the world of acting? And even for you, like, what would you say is for them is the best 3 approaches for them to take if they want to pursue a career in this business?
Okay. First thing, study. Get in an acting class, in a good acting class, a professional acting class, and work hard. 2, when I was coming up, when you were coming up, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones. Everyone would say, oh, but what do you look like on tape, right? Everybody has the ability to go film a scene and put it on Vimeo. Everyone has the ability now to film a monologue and put it on YouTube so that you can show somebody what you can do, what you look like on camera. You know, get your friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever to do some makeup on you, and then, you know, rehearse the scene, and when you're ready to do it, get another friend to help light it if you need, and another friend to shoot it, and make yourself a little movie, and now you have a calling card. The third thing is try to be as worldly and well-versed in as many different things as possible. You never know what kind of role you're going to have to play. So for an actor, the more things that you can learn, the more random skills that you can acquire, the better it is. It makes you a more well-rounded person. That makes it easier for you to assimilate into roles that might be outside of your wheelhouse. For me, I mean, I've always studied languages. I've been studying Mandarin Chinese now for almost 2 years. I try and read as many things as I can. Travel as much as I can. Travel is one of the most amazing ones. I mean, travel, meeting people from different cultures. Meet people that are different than you. Talk to them, listen to them. See how other people lead their life and what they believe, and expand your consciousness.
And what advice would you give them not to do?
What advice would I give them not to do? I don't know what I would say not to do. I mean,
Would you say not having a fucking shitty attitude?
Well, yeah, it goes back to what I said about the 4 things. If you act with integrity, if you do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, you show empathy and compassion, and you have a good work ethic and you grind, you're almost assured of being successful. If you just do those things. I would say be careful, especially with like the generations younger than us, that they're the first generation that has not known what it's like not to have social media and the internet. Be very careful to remember that the way that we choose to communicate with people is often as important as the message itself. It's kind of like, you break up with somebody by leaving them a voicemail. It's not quite the same as if you say, hey, listen, meet me in the park. We have to have a talk. So I think a lot of times people are insulated and I don't know if hide's the right word, using social media as a barrier to legitimate human interaction.
Well, the thing, I had this conversation with Ron when he was on, and I was saying to him, like, when it comes to social media now, as us as performers, do you feel that it's hurt the business in a way where nowadays, you have there's so many talented individuals in our business that don't get the opportunity? Because what I've always found, I mean, I've always been the machine to do everything just like you, but what I have found when it comes to from when we started to now, back then you could just be an actor, or you could just be a director, or you could just be a producer. But now, in order to have longevity, you have to have your hat dipped in everything.
Absolutely.
And second, it's like where you see casting directors where they're hiring people now not based on talent, but how many social media followers they have. Do you feel that has hurt the business?
I don't know. I'm sure there are pros and cons. You know what I mean? This might be a lousy answer, but in the words of Robert De Niro, it is what it is. It's here to stay. It is what it is. It's a new metric that is used when considering people for employment. And so, you either got to get with it, or, it's gonna roll over you. I would just caution people to be very careful what they choose to put out there into social media, because in my experience, you're not going to change anybody's of
You're freezing